Welcome back to this edition of Helping Hands. Thank you for standing by with us. And for my guest, I have Van Sowerby,
Yes.
who is representing the Honor Flight, which I think is such a fabulous thing that
Yes,
you're
it
doing.
is.
So talk to me, because I can't believe it, but there might be somebody out there who does not know what Honor Flight is.
Well, Honor Flight, we are in particular Southeast Florida Honor Flight. We have our own hub here within this area. We service Indian River, St. Lucie, Martin, and Okeechobee counties. Southeast Florida Honor Flight was founded back in 2008, and our first flight was in 2009. What we have is we have a desire to take the World War II vets, and that's our first push, is to get them to their memorial in Washington, D.C. I was on the very first flight that we took out of here. I actually worked for a doctor some, and he was asked if he wanted to be the medical director for the first flight. And so this was back in 2009, and we didn't know what we were doing. We were invited to come for this flight. We didn't know anything about it. We had not seen much publicity. We showed up for orientation with all these amazing men and women who served this country. So I guess they're called the greatest generation. And when you spend time with them, you really fully understand why. But we went to orientation, and we showed up early that first flight, about 4:30 in the morning. Everybody's wanting coffee and donuts, and these men and women are so excited about what's to come, but they don't know what's coming, and neither did we. And if it's all right, I'll just walk you through the first flight and then roll forward
I'd
as
love
to
to hear about it.
how different it has become. We chartered one bus, and we had enough veterans and guardians to fill one bus. And we went to the airport with a sheriff's deputy escort. The firefighters were everywhere. We had more of a parade than you could ever imagine. And as we were going and driving through the city, we were just in tears, because here it is, 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and firefighters have just lined the area. So we leave from Stewart, we get down to the airport, and there are people at the airport celebrating them being there. And we get on the airplane, and there's all kinds of pomp and circumstance, celebrating them. And these veterans are turning, going, "I've never been honored like this before." And we'll sit there and go, "Oh my gosh, we haven't even gotten on the airplane yet." And so we get on the airplane, and we pull out, and they give us where they spray down the airplane. And we're all just kind of looking around going, "What is this about?" And it's really a high honor when they give a water cannon salute for the airplane, and the pilot didn't know. So when we come and we land in Washington, they give us another water cannon salute where it's watering down the airplane, and these veterans are in tears not knowing. So we didn't know what to expect when we got there, and we pull into the gangway, and the gangway is just absolutely decorated, celebrating they're coming in. And we don't have the whole flight. We just have seats on this flight. So we get off the airplane, and they try and hurry the passengers who are not with us off first, or just so we can,
Maneuver
go out.
to get
go out.
yeah.
And we take them out, and I have to tell you, I was in tears, because there must have been 400 people waiting for us, jumping up and down, screaming, celebrating. And most of these guys are in wheelchairs or not walking very well. There are people just jumping up and giving them a kiss and putting wreaths on them and thanking them for the service. And it took probably a half an hour to get through that line to get down to the bus. And we get down to the bus, and there's park police waiting for us to escort us through the city. And they're all looking around going, "Gosh, we mean something." And so you got people on motorcycles. The motorcycle clubs will show up. The old veterans from around the different places will come from out of everywhere to come and be a part of escorting these veterans to not only to their memorial, but to the different places around Washington. And so on that first trip, we got to go to the Arlington, which was amazing. You take these men to Arlington, and we've lined them up to watch the changing of the guards. And we hear that the soldiers at Arlington aren't allowed to make any movements. And this one guy walks by, and as he goes by, the veterans who are in their wheelchairs, he scrapes the heel of his shoe. And someone tells us that's his way of saluting. the man in the wheelchair. And what gets you is you have an old man who will get out of his wheelchair and stand up, and you just see him unfolding a 90-year-old to salute the man who's walking back and forth at the memorial. And so we go from the memorial to different places throughout Washington, and then we come, we feed them lunch. And I remember the first day we were there, we were sitting there, and I'd made friends with all kinds of the veterans there, and I was trying to help out. I wasn't a guardian, I was staff, and so I was trying to collect garbage. And as I was trying to collect garbage, this guy in this blue flight suit comes over and says, "That's my job. I'm here to collect the garbage." I stopped and I looked and I said, "May I ask?" And one of the old military World War II vets looked up and says, "That's my job." "Son, what are you doing?" He says, "Well, I'm the pilot for Air Force One, and I volunteered to come down here to collect the trash so that I could meet you." And one of them looked up and goes, "I volunteered for that service." And this man goes down to greet him and says, "I wish we would have had you back then. What's your name? I want to find out where your application went so I can follow up." And so that's the kind of greeting, that's the kind of thing that we found all day. And we got back to the airport and there was more of a party. I mean, there were dancers, there was the music from back in that era. You have the swing dancers picking up these men and dancing through the airport, and it's a celebration, all in Washington. They get back on the airplane and, you're tired because you've been up since 4. It's now 5 or 6 in the evening. You think they're ready to fall asleep. And they do something very special. They said, back in the day, you remember mail call? And so what they've actually done is they've gone to the families, and some of the schools in the area have gotten letters to these men. And so they have a mail call, and they deliver packages to each of the men. And it reminds them of the times when they were in the war and they got mail from home. And you have these people opening up mail in tears going, "Oh my gosh, this is from my child, this is from my grandkid," thanking them for what they've done in their service. And so you have all these emotions, and most of the times they can't read them. They're handing them to their guardians going, "Can you read me this?" Because they're just in tears. And so when we come and we finally we come back and we land in West Palm Beach, and one of the neat things that happens now is there's so many people that meet us in West Palm Beach to celebrate them coming home. I mean, we hold everybody until everybody gets off, and it's fun because they're all wanting to go. And we walk down as one group to come out in West Palm Beach, and people from Vero Beach to Stewart to Okeechobee have come just to celebrate them coming home. And they're just all in tears. They feel like rock stars. I mean, they come back and they're like, "Oh my gosh, there's patriotism here. They're really thanking me for my service." And I remember that first trip, we had 4 guys that were real, tough, the tough old Marines. You know how the tough old Marines are.
I do.
They were there and said, "We didn't think you could break us, but oh my gosh, you've honored us beyond what we've ever imagined." And so that was my first experience with Honor Flight.
I don't have to tell you. I know that you can see me, and you know that you've touched. I was a Navy brat.
Yes.
Dad was in the service, World War II, Korean War. Brothers in Nam.
Yes.
Cousins in Nam. So have had that military, always living on a military base.
Absolutely.
Seeing military doctors, going to the military PX, all of that.
Yes.
And I won't lie, there were times that I complained that it was a bloody mess because they were moving us every 2 years. And I was a kid, and I didn't want to leave my friends and was always afraid of making new friends.
Yes.
And now I look back and think, I can't believe I complained for 1 second. I got opportunity that most people wouldn't get. I've often said, and no disrespect to my dad, but he didn't have any rank.
Yes.
So when we moved, we piled in a car with 5 kids and 2 adults. I remember that drive from Southern California to his next duty station in New York, where there was no base housing waiting. And they drove us around the entire day trying to find a place that would take them with 5 children.
Wow.
So I certainly appreciate what they have been through, not only on a personal level, but certainly, you know, my father comes from a family of military,
Yes.
and you know, my husband's Vietnam era. It's always been a part of my life, a very strong part. So
Well, one of the main focuses, one of the things we're really looking for is veterans at this point. If you are a World War II veteran, we want to know who you are. We want to take you as this is a free thing for you. We want to take a veteran, men or women who are part of that era, we want to take them to Washington for free. And so one of the first things we're looking for is we need phone numbers, we need people to go. And we'll actually put 80 to 85 people on a flight. We'll actually book 90. And 2 weeks before, we'll have so many people try and back out because of their age and because they can't quite make it and they're sick. But we need to get the word out to say we want to honor you and take you on a flight.
when you set up your flights,
Yes.
just curious, do you coordinate with other honor flights so that you are all in Washington at the same time? Or do you have your own date and another honor flight would come in, you know, maybe 2 weeks later, whatever?
Well, actually, there are 133 hubs
Okay.
throughout the country. We actually help start 4 of the hubs. We have to coordinate with Honor Flight National for us to actually come in because there would be so many flights coming in during the day. There are times when you actually show up to Washington and there'll be 4 other flights that are there. And so you're seeing someone from Springfield, someone from different places throughout the country, and we all wear different color shirts, and so everyone gets to greet one another from different places. There are many times when you go to any of the memorials and you're seeing so many other honor flights, and you get to really greet them, find out how they're doing. Every time you walk up to someone who is a World War II vet, you almost have to come down and hear their story and thank them for the service.
It's all about military families,
It is.
and this really putting Honor Flight together and getting these service people.
Yes.
And you've made them another family.
We have.
They were family when they were in the service, when they were aboard ship, when they were in a battle, when they were stationed overseas. They made another family other than the family that they had at home. So I think they're much more susceptible to feeling a part of
Yes.
another family. So we have an honor flight going out in August or September?
We have September and October.
September and October. Okay.
Part of what we do is, we need veterans, we need volunteers, we need guardians, but we also need money. We came up, we had an organization that has supported us to the tune of $65,000 for the last many years, and it literally paid for our October flight, and they could not support us anymore. And they've just been a wonderful resource, and so we came up short. Our flights cost us about $100,000 by the time we do everything for the individual getting them there. And so we've been in the process of trying to raise money to get the last flight of the year, which is the October flight, up. We have one of the individuals who's been on our flight 11 times now, Dr. Singh, and I know he's been on your program. Dr. Singh actually put up $10,000 as a challenge. He said, I'm going to put up matching funds for $10,000 to help get this flight off the ground. And what an amazing man to step forward and do that. And since that time, another gentleman has stepped forward, Max House, out of Palm Beach, and he said, I'm coming up with $10,000 more. I don't want to match Dr. Singh's. I want it to be a $20,000 match. And so now we have a $20,000 match going on to try and raise money for our last flight of the year.
Right.
And that's really quite astounding that two individuals would come up with that type of money to say, I'm really interested in this. The second person was a World War II vet. Dr. Singh is just absolutely having a ball being a part of Honor Flight and being a part of the flights.
Well, having had him at the council meeting last week,
Yes.
And I hope I'm not breaking any HIPAA laws, but he had said that many of the people that he had there were some of his patients.
Yes.
So that, again, he's had the opportunity to get to know them and become a part of that military family. So
That's very true.
It is wonderful.
He keeps bringing his patients on, and I actually work for a doctor too in the mornings, and we've been bringing our patients on as well. So it's been neat just to bring those who are part of the family at the doctor's office that we work at and the doctor's office that Dr. Singh works at, to bring them to be a part of the flight itself.
They have amazing, amazing stories.
They really do.
Some that you can't repeat on the air.
Yes.
I could tell you that I know that only because my father had some of those, and we were much older before we finally, actually other people in the family would say, oh yeah, remember when Dad was at, or your dad was at, and we went, really? And what did he do? Yeah, those can't be repeated on air.
Well, one of the things we found as well is once you start to honor these men and get them out of the environment of the house, they'll start telling you stories that they've never told their family. I remember one time when we were doing an orientation, this one gentleman had a book in his lap, and his daughter was his guardian. And the daughter's like, Dad, what's the book? And I leaned down and I said, Sir, what's the book? And he opens it up, and he was a POW. And his daughter never knew. And he started showing himself, showing us the pictures. And so a lot of times what we find is when we bring these men and women on these flights, it opens up. They can open up with other World War II vets where they cannot open up with the family. And it's almost like a healing time. And then they see the nation pour out just to say thank you for your service.
Well, again, Ben, that is that family that
Yes.
they shared with during the war.
And they didn't want to bring
and
it
their
home.
military, right. So that was that separation of having my family here
Yes.
and my family here. So many families never knew what really happened. And we saw that, I'm a Vietnam era kid, so we obviously have seen that with Vietnam. Many guys today don't talk about what happened while they were there.
They still don't.
So, it really doesn't surprise me. All we can do is be there and give them as much support, and be willing to listen if anybody wants to talk about it. So I know that there's been some fundraisers set up.
Yes.
Some people are working on it. I know that Big Apple Pizza was having a fundraiser.
Yes.
And that what's amazing about that group is that everybody donates their time. His
And 100%
service,
of the proceeds go to
Yes.
Honor Flight or the organization they're sponsoring that day.
and they do a great job with that.
We also have a $100 Club Challenge,
Okay,
which we put
talk
out there.
about that.
The $100 Club Challenge is we're asking people to donate $100 to become part of a club of sponsors. And you can go to our website, you can send in a check. But to date, I think we've had $5,300 worth of donations for the $100 Club, where people want to come and sponsor and be a part of what's happening here. We do have the Big Apple Pizza. We also have we actually rent out 2 theaters coming up in January, February, I think it is, where we actually do a full program. We have Johnny Cash is coming back. Last year we did the Elvis, and that was a neat fundraiser where we have someone step in and cover the full cost, and all the ticket prices go to Honor Flight.
Great.
But that's coming up for next year. So we have the $100 challenge. We have the Big Apple Pizza that's coming up. We have quite a few fundraisers throughout the year that we'd love to get people to participate in.
And I can see that you had a very good donor.
Yes.
Who is helping sponsor, and I understand things happen and
Things happen.
people are in different positions, but the $100 challenge gives people who are not able
Yes.
to sponsor a whole flight
Yes.
the opportunity to be a part of
Absolutely.
that. So I think that's a great
And
idea.
a lot of people can write a check for $100, and some of the money seems overwhelming, but every $100 counts. And one of the things I'd like to say is there are no paid staff. we're at Southeast Florida Honor Flight. There's no one that's paid. Everything that we do is geared towards getting them in the seats. And over time, in the past, we used to have a guardian that would handle 2 or 3 individuals, but
Right.
now with the age, we have a guardian for each individual, and the guardians pay their own way. The guardians actually pay a fee to go. And one of the things that overwhelms the veteran many times is not only is this individual giving time out of his schedule, but he's also paying to be with me. And that's a big deal.
Well, again, you know, I normally have people on here
Yes.
that I can laugh with and talk with. I don't usually have people that make me tear up so much. And you know, I think that that's...
Well, it's an emotional thing. It's when we're actually tugging at your heartstrings because of you've been there. You grew up on the base. Your father was in World War II. One of the programs that we've actually started is called a Flag of Honor, and you probably have not heard about this. What we do is on the flight, we actually take a flag as well as a picture of someone who served but did not make it to the memorial. And as the plane is loaded up, we have people in, you know, all decked out, and they volunteer. They fight for this position to be the honor guard, to actually come in and bring the flag and bring the picture of the individual who served. And they'll walk all the way down the plane, and people are crying all the way down the plane because not only are they getting to go, but we're honoring, you know, someone who's fallen before then and can't go. And they're the last ones to get on the plane. They're the first ones off. They actually go into the memorial, and they stand at the memorial for at least, I think it's an hour, with the picture, with the flag. And when we return home, they get off the plane and actually hand the flag to say thank you, as well as, you know, whatever's there to the family to say, you know, this is our opportunity to honor your father, your dad, your granddad, who has fallen and did not make it. And I participated in a couple of those ceremonies, and it's hard just not to cry, because you are not only doing this with the veterans who are living, but you're honoring those who have passed before they could go. And it's just one of the neatest programs that we've gotten going recently.
I think that what you're doing is fabulous. I will tell you, I'll take you up on the $100 challenge.
Well, thank you.
Before you leave. I know that we talked about that you have a website that we're posting, but
Yes.
I know that some people would prefer to mail you a check.
Yes.
Can we just once go over the address where they would send that check?
Yes. It's P.O. Box 1503, Stuart, Florida, 34995. And if you make your checks payable to Southeast Florida Honor Flight and send them to that post office box, we can handle it from there. If you go to our website, and our website, I know it's probably being posted as well, is honorflightsefl.org, and we have
Yes.
places to donate there. But you know, we need veterans, we need volunteers, because it takes a staff of about 100 people to get this flight off the ground. And if you ever are part of us, we have staff in the morning who are helping parking, as well as, you know, the normal people getting them on the flight. And when we return, gosh, we handled 3,000 or 4,000 people at the airport.
Wow.
For the celebration.
That is...
I don't know if I told you, we had one incredibly grouchy, fun person. And we were flying back in, and he goes, I don't think there's any patriotism here. And I don't know if I told this story here or not, but he was complaining because he didn't think there was patriotism in this area. And I said, well, let me ask you something. What is it that's telling you that? Well, there's no one here to greet us at the plane. And I said, well, we're going to walk down. If we have 2 people, I think I have 2 friends down there who will greet us. And he goes, that's not enough. And I said, well, 4 do it? Still not enough. And people around were gathering around because he was being real cranky with me. And I said, well, 6 do it. He says, 6 might do it. And so we gathered everybody, and we start walking down, and we come around the corner, and there are 6 flight attendants, and they've got flags, and they're jumping up and down, and they're celebrating. He looks over at me, and he goes, oh, Van, thank you. There is patriotism here. And I said, what, because of the 6? And we turn the corner, and he sees thousands of people that are there, and he just starts chasing me through the airport. It was so funny because he's with a cane. He's chasing me through, trying to hit me. And he goes, you set me up. And I said, we've set you up all day just to show you how much we love you and honor you. And those are the kind of stories that just kind of stick with you throughout the time. Of you get one-on-one with these individuals if you go as a guardian. If you go like I am as a staff member, you probably get to know 10 people throughout the trip. And it's such an incredible opportunity, not only to honor, but to become part of the family.
It's precious moments that you can't understand, I don't think, in many cases without actually participating. I think you've been very, very fortunate. As much as you have given, I can tell that you have gotten.
Yes.
So.
And there are a couple times, and I'd like to tell two more if I can.
Sure.
This one man says something about his son was had been buried at Arlington, and he hadn't had a chance to go and see. And so some of our people did a quick research, and we come to find out that he was MIA, had been located, and had been brought to Arlington. So we pull the buses up. We're now 4 buses. We actually charter a flight every time. And they take him off of the flight, and he gets to see his son buried at Arlington for the first time. And we get to be a part of that. And every flight that we go on has a story like that, where someone gets just blown away, and everyone's saying, no one's saying, what about me? They're looking at this man who gets to see, he survived World War II. His son was shot down and was MIA, and he gets to go and visit the graveside. And if you come and participate and honor these men, you get to see that, and you get to participate in some of the most incredible history that you ever could imagine. And I do. I get so much out of it. I love to go. I can't go all the time. I think I've actually been on 12 flights at this point.
I hear the passion.
Yes.
I hear the passion. And that's incredible. And that reads on to your veterans. They see that as well. So.
And we have such an amazing, I'm part of a board of directors, and I'm just the treasurer. We have more people who put a whole lot more time and effort in than me. And we have such an amazing group of people who meet twice a week throughout the year, not only to fundraise, but to plan, to prepare, and to get everything in order for this to happen. And it's a big deal. It's something that I'm very proud to be a part of.
Good. Well, Van, I want to thank you for being here today. I hope that having you here is going to have people kind of open their wallets and send that check to Honor Flight. We need to get the October flight funded.
Yes.
I think that we will. I think that we have a fabulous community that always comes out when there's a need. Mm-hmm. So I think that you stepping up to the plate is great, but I think that those people are going to come out and be supportive, and we will have 2 flights going out again.
That's awesome. We so look forward to that.
But I look forward to actually going in the back before you leave and cutting you a check. That will be number 1.
Yes. But
to be more involved with this. So it's,
we'd love for you to be involved.
It's very, very important, and it. You should have told me before we started this that I needed to bring a box of tissues with me.
Well, and if you come, when you come, I should say, when you come and be a part of what we're doing, you'll be in tears again, but it's tears of laughter, tears of joy. And thank you so much for having me on your program. It's been such an honor, and we'd love to be on again just to show you what happens down the road.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
It'd be fun just to be able to bring in and stage some. I know you've had Dr. Singh in and some of his veterans, and it's just a fun time, amazing time. One of the things I know in my heart is in the Bible it tells us that when you honor a righteous man in the name of the righteous man, you get a righteous man's reward. And we all do things for reward. But isn't it neat that we have that when we can honor someone and honor a veteran, honoring someone who served this country? It feels like we get rewarded. And I don't do it for the reward, but oh my gosh, I get just so much out of it.
Yes, yes. And it is time that we celebrate their commitment to the service in our country. So too many times that has gotten bypassed, and if we can do it, let's work it. Let's do it. So, but anyways, I want to thank you very much for being on the show, Van, and we will we will do this again after you come back. I look
Oh my
forward
gosh.
to it.
I'll probably be about 3 feet off the ground as we
Okay,
get so
that's all
excited.
right. That's all right.
Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure. And we'll be right back after this message.